What's up everyone, welcome back to the channel and welcome to the LS 500h, Lexus's flagship executive sedan. And in today's video, not only am I gonna annoy everybody that's been telling me to wear proper clothes when I review cars like this one, but I'm also gonna show you the level of attention to detail that Lexus has put into this car to make it a proper contender to the already well-known German executive sedans. So here it is, the 2021 updated Lexus LS 500h. And as the name suggests, this is a hybrid, but more on the powertrain later on in this video. Let's now focus on the exterior and the interior. First off, this particular car is finished in Sonic titanium, which is basically a silver color, but from certain angles it looks like the car is bare metal, and I think that effect is quite cool and a lot of people seem to appreciate this particular paint job. This car is also a facelift, but you'll be forgiven if you can't tell the difference between this one and the car it replaces. Basically the biggest changes are around the headlights, especially the headlights shape, and some of the trim's surroundings have been changed. This car floats on 20-inch alloy specific to the luxury package, and I do mean it floats because obviously it features air suspension. On the inside, the biggest change is obviously the new 12.3-inch infotainment touchscreen. On the previous model, the screen would be integrated into the dash, very similar to how the LC interior is done. But on this new one, in order to be able to add touch functionalities to it, they had to obviously bring it closer to the driver, and therefore it now sticks out of the dashboard. I personally think this design is not as elegant as the old one, but in fairness to Lexus, they did make the infotainment screen more usable by adding touch functionality. So yeah, a trade-off basically. Furthermore, Lexus has improved the active noise cancelling system in this car to make it even quieter than before, and overall this interior is absolutely fantastic. Just have a look at it. I don't even know where to start here. The material choices, the amount of tech on the inside, the fact that it actually has a DVD player in the back, or the amazing Mark Levinson sound system which has speakers in the roof of the car. There's so much stuff on the inside that it's going to be quite impossible for me to cover everything. But let's run through some of the highlights. All 4 seats of the car are extremely comfortable, and they are of course heated, ventilated, and they can all give you a quick massage on the go. And the back seats, they are fully independent. They can be controlled from the tablet in between them, and you can adjust them in any way you want. The door panels are made out of 3 layers of materials, and you can customize them in a lot of ways. The spec you see here is pretty basic if you ask me, but have a look at what you can do if you really want it. You can have leather there, Alcantara, hand-pleated origami fabric, and even Kiriko cut glass ornaments. Imagine that, glass ornaments in a door panel. It's stuff like this that makes the LS 500 stand out from the crowd, so to speak. It's attention to detail that you don't really find in a car like this, but rather in a Bentley or a Rolls. The tech on the inside is starting to show its age a little. The infotainment feels quite old, to be honest, the instrument dials just so, but the sound system I've previously mentioned, made by Mark Levinson, is out of this world. It's by far the best sound system I've ever had the pleasure of listening to. It's absolutely amazing, and no matter the genre of music you like, this sound system delivers. Overall, this interior is an amazing place to travel in, and you really need to experience it in order to fully understand it. Now let's hit the road and see what it's like to drive the LS 500h. So the powertrain of this car. In other countries, you have the option to choose between a twin-turbo V6 petrol engine and this one, the hybrid version, which is the only version that's on sale in Sweden. This version has a 3.5-liter naturally aspirated V6 under the bonnet, and that paired with a couple of electric motors can produce a total of 355 horsepower. Then in the middle we have a CVT gearbox combined with, get this, a regular 4-speed automatic. So why would Lexus go with such a solution? Well, according to them, they wanted to emulate a 10-speed automatic transmission because they felt a CVT only transmission wouldn't be as refined as they wanted to be for the LS. The result is that this car is capable of accelerating from 0 to 100 km per hour from standstill in 5.5 seconds. And although it might not sound like much, for a 2.3-ton car, that's pretty good if you ask me. Not that acceleration times matter for a car like this, but there you go, some stats for you. This powertrain, and especially the way it switches between electric, hybrid and petrol-only mode, is exceptional. It's so seamless when it switches between those modes that I actually have to glance down at the speedometer to see what mode I'm driving in. It is exceptionally smooth. The only thing I'm not a fan of with this powertrain is that it takes a while to respond to a kickdown, and when it does that, eventually the engine sounds strained and raspy most of the time. And that's because even though this transmission doesn't 100% act like a regular CVT box, you can see the revs drop from time to time. It does keep the engine at high revs most of the time when you have your pedal to the metal, so to speak. I don't think this is a big issue, to be honest, because that's not the way people are gonna drive this car, with the pedal to the floor, I mean. But it's definitely worth to mention it.
As you'd expect, cruising around in this car is an experience in its own. I'm not even gonna go into detail about the handling of the car because it's obvious for everyone what type of car this is. It's gonna lean quite a bit in the bends if you even try to drive it in a sporty manner. The steering is not very communicative, and no matter what driving mode you're in, the suspension hardly firms up. Having said that, this car is very easy to drive, as it should. Driving position is excellent, visibility is great all around, and quite surprisingly for such a massive car, it doesn't feel too big for these public roads. Little to no noise comes inside the cabin, the suspension glides over huge bumps and potholes without any issues, and the refinement is on another level. You really have to be very careful what you're running over, just so that, you know, it's not your neighbor, because you might not even notice it.
This car might not have the same tech as an S-Class, and it might not have the same variety of powertrains that a 7 Series has, but its strengths lie in other areas. It oozes with character, and it gives you one of the most refined driving experience you'll ever get to experience. Lexus's understated luxury slogan is in full effect in this LS. These seats hug into place perfectly, the leather is sublime to the touch, and the car just wafts along the road without you even noticing any imperfections in the road.
It's honestly one of those cars that's hard to explain. You see, people are quick to dismiss the LS because on paper, it loses out against its competitors. It's not as quick as the 7 Series, it's not as high-tech as an S-Class, but having driven all three of them, I can tell you hands on heart, it's the one I'd have. Because of the two things I've already mentioned, its character for one, and second because of the very high-end finishing and optional extras that really belong in a class above.
If I had to criticize something regarding this car, there's two things I would mention. First off, the infotainment system, and finally the price. The infotainment system is a bit outdated, both in the looks department but also in the way it works. You can definitely feel that as soon as you start playing around on the screen. Lexus did improve the user experience by fitting a touchscreen panel, but yeah, it still doesn't have what its rivals have. Take for example Apple CarPlay. Yes, it is present on this car, but there's no option to have it work wirelessly. And for that matter, Android Auto isn't even an option on this car. Then you have the way you control basic stuff like seat heaters, steering wheel heaters, seat ventilation and so on. There's a button over here, a physical button, but that only opens up a menu on the infotainment system, and then you have to tap around over here in order to get the settings you want out of it. And that is kind of tricky to do, especially when you're driving and you have to pay attention to the road. And then there's the price. The basic version of the LS, called Comfort, costs about 100,000 euros. That's 130k US. But this one, the luxury variant, which is the one you want to have if you want all the goodies the LS has to give you, including this fantastic Mark Levinson sound system, will set you back around 140,000 euros, which is 170k US. And I don't know about you, but that's a lot of money. And objectively, I do have to say that that is the biggest drawback of the LS 500h. The price and the fact that you can get a similar executive German sedan for the money, which in the end is gonna depreciate less than the Lexus. So yeah, let me know in the comment section down below, what do you think about the LS 500h? Would you pick this car over a rival German executive sedan? If so, let me know why in the comment section down below. That's been it for today's video, my friends. A bit of an unusual for this channel. Please give this video a thumbs up to please YouTube's algorithm, and make sure you're subscribed for plenty more videos to come.